welcome back, everybody. All right, so last week we talked about using the fact that you're going to run to a lot of small game before you run to large game, and so that I recommend that everybody gets a 22 long rifle for their first rifle. Well, and the reason that I recommend a bolt action is because of the fact that they're easy to maintain. Well, going along that same lines, if you are in a survival situation and you are thinking that your primary thing you're going to need is, of course, food, but sometimes you may come into closer contact with things such as like rattlesnakes or something, especially like out here in the desert. So a good pairing to have with a 22 long rifle will be like this, a 22 revolver. Now, much like, and I'll explain why I go with the revolver over as a pistol, why I think this is a good setup for survival situations. Now this is double action, so you cannot just pull the trigger and fire this. You actually have to pull the hammer back before you can even fire it. Now, the nice thing about this one though is this also has a bar that comes up so that if you do accidentally fire it, the hammer is actually not going to hit the firing pin to disengage your cartridge. Now, the reason that I say I recommend a revolver is that, one, these are much easier to clean. They're easier to maintain. So they're easy to maintain. You do have you can eject your cartridge this way, but with these you can take the cylinder out. You can clean the cylinder. You can clean your barrel. Much easier to maintain a revolver, and much like a bolt action rifle, there's a lot fewer mishaps that happen with this type of a handgun. This is a very safe revolver. And much like with the 22 rifle, this particular handgun is going to be less expensive than, say, a pistol or a higher caliber handgun. And in a survival situation, that could be a big deal. Another thing is it's also not as loud as a, say, 9mm or 45. So that, when someone's training, this is a good handgun to use to train. But another huge reason why I would recommend this is because the fact that this is also 22 long rifle revolver, and so if you in a survival situation, weight has to be a concern, and this allows you to carry one size round that's very common, so you can house a whole lot of 22 rounds with you. And you not only do you have a rifle, but you have a handgun that you can use. And yeah, I understand that one of the disadvantages to this is that it does not have a lot of power. However, at close range, you can still hit vital organs with a 22, and you're going to do damage. So if you are thinking about protection, now that's against like a two-legged threat, not necessarily a four-legged threat. But if you are thinking about protection, this is also, for close quarters, this is still a very viable option for self-defense. You practice with it, you train with it, of course. As always, the first thing you ever do is you make sure that there's no chambers, no cartridges in the chambers. And with the revolver, it's easy. You just spin it, and there's no bullets in there. So you never point at anything you don't intend to shoot, and of course you don't shoot anything you intend to. You only shoot at something you intend to kill. So, but with that being said, this revolver here would be, or a 22 revolver in general, it would be something. Any revolver is good because of their ease to maintain and keep clean, but also the fact that they are less expensive a lot of times. You can get decent revolvers for less than what you're going to get a pistol for, a magazine-fed pistol. The downside to this, of course, it only has 6 shots. Now, you can get 22 revolvers that the cylinder is an 8-shot cylinder, so you can get 22 revolvers with 8 shots as opposed to 6. That's not the main reason. The primary reason that I did pick this one up was, of course, because of the handle here, the United States, the American flag. I thought that was pretty slick. I liked it. This is made by Heritage Manufacturing. This is a fun gun to shoot, and this is something that if you are in a survival situation, you have this in your bag, you have your .22 rifle, and so you're able to get small game for food. And with this right here, even though it's not the best handgun for self-defense, this will still do the trick. Nobody really wants to get shot, so in a self-defense situation, this would still do the trick. And this particular model has a lot of safety features. Again, you cannot just pull the trigger and the hammer engage. You have to engage the hammer before it'll go off. And then it also, even if it does, you still have your safety latch here. So you have to pull that down before the hammer will even actually engage the firing pin. So this particular revolver has a lot of safety features. So that still doesn't mean that you don't respect it and treat it the way you treat any firearm. You have to always assume they're loaded. You don't point it at anybody. The basic rules of safe firearm handling. So you keep your finger off the trigger unless you intend to pull it. So the only reason that I, of course, put it on there is that I was releasing the hammer. So, but yeah, and so this is just my opinion here. It may be unpopular, but I think that a good combination in the survival situation. Yeah, and you could definitely have a higher caliber handgun for self-defense, but I think that under normal circumstances, if you're just out, you're looking for food, which is going to be the primary means of any firearm in a survival situation is going to be food acquisition. But this allows you to, if you are close up and you're able to get a good close shot on something, if you get good with something like this, hey, it's easy to aim, easy to fire, and it's still going to do the trick you need to get yourself something to eat. So, yeah, and I really like this revolver. This revolver is a whole lot of fun. I have another revolver, but it's a much higher caliber. But this one here, fun to fire. You can do a lot of stuff with this. This one here is, I think I paid $140 or $160 at a pawn shop, maybe $180, but it was under $200 at a pawn shop. So a nice .22 revolver. You can get these relatively inexpensive, and they will do what you need them to do. And with practice, these can even give somebody a really bad day. So, but other than that, again, .22 rifle, .22 pistol, revolver, and not pistol, this is a revolver, but you have a .22 bolt action rifle, .22 pistol, and you have 2 firearms, same size round, and so that way you have to carry. You're not trying to carry 2 different sizes of rounds in your pack. You just have one size round. You have all your rounds together, and then you got your rifle for longer range hunting, and you have your handgun for closer range hunting. So, yeah. So I would definitely recommend. I would recommend getting a .22 anyway, just because of the fact that, especially if you have people that are unsure about firing a weapon, or they're not comfortable around them, but they want to learn. .22 is a good caliber to start with anyway, because there's virtually no kick. It's not as loud as other rounds, and you can really get a feel for it. and it is a lot safer. So, because you have to know what you're doing with this to really do a lot of damage. But I mean, that's not saying that it's like not dangerous. I'm not saying that. But this is something that you can actually implement into your training regimen to help somebody who's never fired before get used to it, so then they can move. Then they can make their way up to a much more effective round size. So, anyway, yeah. So when it comes to food acquisition, close range, I think this definitely do the trick.